And Sue's back.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you, and some more people may be joining us. And so, what I started to say is we're still continuing with Beruriah. I would like to get again to Marjorie Lehman's article where she compares or she looks at the Beruriah story together with Yentl, but I'm not sure we'll get there because I want to go back a little bit and just really discuss unfortunately, it didn't get recorded last week, but I really want to discuss the story that we have about Rabbi Meir's um, essentially entrapping his wife, really, if you want to think of it that way. Um, he, he, we'll look at the story again and then we'll see why it's such a troubling story. Um, So let me share the screen with you for, um, I'll just show you what my lesson plan is so that you see what my plan is. Okay, in case we have any problems. So what I'm going to do is first of all, we'll start by looking at um, we'll start by finishing the comments on the Avodah Zarah, and I will look at Marjorie's article to see what she has to say. And then I'm going to again ask the question why Rashi, conflated the sister stories. The two sister stories, if you remember, had to do with one where Rabbi Meir goes to find the sister who is a prostitute, tests her. It turns out she's clean, and then everything's hunky dory, so to speak. All right, but there's the other story where by by setting her up, by setting Beruriah up, she ends up committing suicide because she sleeps with one of the students. All right, um, and so the question is, why does she succumb and not her sister? And then we'll go back to the Boyarin chart if I could find it, which I do. I have it on my slide, and then we're going to look at Noam Zion. And then afterwards, that's why I don't think we're going to actually look at the Yentl connection. And then I was thinking to myself, what about Sarah? You know, something similar happens with Sarah, right? Abraham gives Sarah twice
Right.
to um, once to Pharaoh and once to Abimelech. Remember?
Right.
Hmm.
In the Bible. And I was thinking to myself, there's echoes there of, a betrayal of a husband. The husband is betraying his wife by giving her to someone else. I don't know if you agree with me, but I mean, it's an interesting thought. And then I thought it would be very interesting to create a midrash and have Beruriah be in dialogue with Sarah, or Sarah be in dialogue with Beruriah. All
Right.
right. So I thought that would be very interesting. And finally, Yehudim Ba'im, which I used to show you all the time, which I won't be able to. I'll show you that at the end when we stop the recording
Record.
because of that. So that I have a full lesson plan, and now you can understand why I probably won't get to the Yentl part of it. Okay, so let's go back. You have to go back and forth because I have my lesson plan here. So let me go to Marjorie's article on page 134. Page 134. 134. Sorry about that. Okay, I think this is 134. I think we looked at this last time. I'm not sure. No, that's
Well, you
page one.
have to stop the first share to show us the other one.
I know. Let me just
Yeah,
find it here. Okay. Um,
I haven't seen it.
okay, I think this is where I wanted to look at. Okay, I have to stop the share
All right.
and go to, hi, Marsha. Welcome. I'm just totally confused now. I'm going now I have to share, right? Okay.
Hmm.
Right.
And I'm sharing the this article with you. Okay, here we go. So this is from Marjorie's article, and I have it starred down here. I think we read some of it last time, right?
Right.
We read some of the article last time. So I wrote here, review this next week, right? Okay. So additionally, each character fits an expected male or female role in a way that diverges from other sources that mention Beruriah. It is she who sets the events of the story into motion in uttering her concerns to her husband. He responds by going to rescue his sister-in-law while
Right.
Beruriah remains at home. She offers Rabbi Meir no advice. She can learn from and with many male rabbis. In other words, here we're seeing Meir being the strong man, right? He's the one who's going to rescue his sister-in-law from the Roman brothel, right? So she, on the one hand, may learn with him and also with male rabbis, but she can't join him on his mission to enter a brothel and save her sister. Right? As a woman in this story, she is shut out from political maneuvers that involve standing up to Rome. So Beruriah, in that story, is no more than a worried sister and supportive wife. Right? Rabbi Meir's sister-in-law, in other words, Beruriah's sister, is coached as a stereotypically rabbinic female, a woman defined by her female body and her sexuality. The story drives home the point that Beruriah's sister does not give in to the demands of the men visiting the brothel because of her strict attention to an area of Jewish law, as the observance of Nida when she's menstruating is in her control. Rabbi Meir's power as a rabbi who wishes to take on Rome and make determinations about the futures of women based on their sexual behavior is here aligned with the only person his sister-in-law can assert. So, what's really very interesting is that in the Talmud story, the rabbis differentiate male from female by prompting us to think about the types of power each possesses. So what does this mean? Let's apply this now to Beruriah. Right? Without even reading here, applying this to Beruriah, because don't forget Rashi's supposed story, right? We'll look at that in a minute. Rashi's supposed story is based possibly on this Avodah Zarah, right? Because they say Maaseh Beruriah, the case of Beruriah, right? But there is nothing in the Talmud. It's all Rashi's invention, if you remember. So if this story is somehow or another behind that, how does Beruriah fit into this? First of all, in this story, according to Marjorie Lehman, she's weak, right? Beruriah is weak. She too is defined by her body, not by her mind.
Right.
Anything else you could think of that could lead the rabbis to think about this? About that terrible story where basically Rabbi Meir offers her up, right? Okay, so I don't want to, I don't want to dwell on this too much here because I think it's really very interesting. I think that what we have here is something a story which is looking at female sexuality, right? And looking at Beruriah through those eyes. And then if you add to it the saying that women are lightheaded, right? Which we talked about, that also appears in the Talmud. Women are lightheaded. And now, okay, we could say that the sister-in-law seems to be lightheaded. She's not really. I mean, she's guarding her sexuality. But if you want to say women are lightheaded, so why do we have Beruriah as an exception, right? She, we talk about the exception to the rule. What does it mean to be the exception to the rule? I saw a very interesting article this week. I forgot what it was, though. But it was all about exception to the rule. What does it mean to be exception to the rule?
That you're kind of going against the stereotype.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. But then what does it mean about the rule?
Well,
Who writes the rule?
The rule
Whose
can
rule?
be maybe it means sometimes the rule can be broken for a good reason.
Okay. But it means
Or
that
maybe the rule is wrong.
Could be sometimes if you have too many exceptions, yeah.
Right.
But
But
usually
the exception should be the rule.
right, that the exception should be the rule. But if you say the exception to the rule, the Beruriah is the exception to the rule, it means the rule is that most women are lightheaded, right? And here and there's a couple of people who don't fit in. So it's a damning phrase if you think about it.
Yeah.
So when we say about somebody, look at all these women athletes today, that they are exceptional, right? We don't say exception to the rule, but just think about it, that they're exceptional. What is that,
Right.
What happened now? Somebody got lost. Oh, I raised my hand. I don't understand. It's like the computer is like Marcia. Also, you have a hand. Did you want to say something?
Well, I mean, what rule are they exceptional to? Even the women athletes, I think the ones who are exceptional are the ones who are choosing to be an athlete with all that entails and having children.
Right.
And they keep referring to they took time off for having children. Now we know it's difficult enough having children, and these athletes go through all kinds of contortions. I mean, like they. So what rule? And I think actually they're rather strong. They're preserving their life. Beruriah's sister is. When did she get to the brothel? How did they get to it? And where are Beruriah and Rav Meir? They rush off to Rome like it's a must.
She doesn't go with him. She doesn't go with him.
No, but they're always going back and forth to Rome.
Right.
I mean, Rome is not around the corner.
Absolutely. It's a long trip. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a long trip.
Look, maybe behind this behind this story might be if Rabbi Meir went off. Maybe behind us, if Rabbi Meir went off to rescue the sister, she's all alone, right? And she's at the mercy of the other men. Maybe that's another possibility.
Yeah, he's off to save the maiden in distress. It's very written by a man.
Very much so. Very much so. Okay.
I think written by a man who doesn't like Rabbi Meir, because it's not going to be so simple for Rabbi Meir. Oh, hello. I don't want your services, but I'm coming to get you. Maybe she doesn't really want to go.
Okay, that's a good point. And by the way, it's Beruriah who comes from the higher stock. She's the one with the. Okay, Shalom. I tell you, hold on, that's a Lamal, okay? Okay.
Yeah.
See, it just came now. So we have the this situation where I lost my train of thought.
Beruriah comes from a higher level.
A higher level.
Thank you. So she comes from a higher status, right?
Right.
And Rabbi Meir's status is sort of dubious. It's not really clear, where he's coming from. So, and people may have resented him, just like at the beginning they resented Rabbi Akiva, right? So it's quite bad. And he's that's the same strata. They were all friends together. They were all, in the same. So it's quite possible that there is something going on here with the hierarchy of, that's a good point, the hierarchy of the
the Rabbi Meir married up, as they say.
Right, and among exactly. And so did Akiva, by the way. Akiva also, right?
He married very up.
Right, but to money. He married to money, not so much to aristocracy.
No, the money. Right. Right.
But today money and
it's too bad we don't have letters from then.
Yeah.
Like we have letters from now from all these big muckamucks. A lot of them, I think most of them Jewish men. Right. We should know that. I look at the names, I say, oh my God.
Right.
Are you talking about the Epstein file things?
Yeah, every other person is Jewish.
I haven't looked. I don't want to.
Oh my! Well, no, I you can't avoid it here. Certainly, you can't avoid it.
By the way, there are the anti-Semites out there who are pointing it out. They are there. They are pointing it.
The only woman with Epstein who was probably directing the whole thing, so she's half Jewish.
Oh, I didn't realize she was half Jewish. Really?
Our mother was a brilliant Holocaust scholar. Not Jewish.
Wow.
Really? Yeah. Giselle Maxwell, really? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And every time I look, I mean, so she's got a puppy in jail.
Who are you speaking of?
Maxwell.
Ghislaine or whatever her name is. Her mother
recording this. Wait a minute, we're recording this. Let's be careful.
Oh yeah.
Okay. No, but there's something to it. I mean, look, people have not behaved well, and rabbis in particular. It was a contest there. They were all. It was a lot of male testosterone. How do you pronounce that word?
Testosterone. It's testosterone.
Right, testosterone. Yeah, a lot of testosterone.
I'm sorry. I inserted this into
a lot of it going around there. And in in this male club where each one was trying to outdo each other with their brilliance, right? A lot of, using the pen as a sword, literally, and it goes on today as well. I mean, the competition that you have in academia, et cetera, and people step on each other's, whatever,
knife in the back,
in order to climb, and stabbing in the back and whatever. So you do have that. So this is the atmosphere that you sort of have there, and maybe that's also behind it. Okay. Yeah. So and if you remember, I also showed you the that was actually in the let me stop. Oh, I'm not sharing right now. So now I have to share again, and now I want to share the wait. Let me just look and see what I'm doing. So wait, we've talked about that, and now. We talked about the conflation of the stories. And then again, why have it be Beruriah who committed suicide, right? I mean, that's the big question. So let's also go back to the Boyarin chart, which is on slide 23. Yeah. Okay, so let me share that with you. Here, okay. So if you remember, so this is from Daniel Boyarin's Carnal Israel. And so he actually is sort of saying it's not a fluke in Rashi. In other words, he's saying even though the story extends only in Rashi's authoritative 11th century, remember this, authoritative 11th century French commentary, right? I think I can show how it was generated there and why it's not a fluke in Rashi. By the way, you'll see that Noam Sion does not agree with that, all right? So keep in mind that okay. So he sees Beruriah as having a double. She's almost like a doppelganger. Is that how you pronounce the word?
Doppelganger.
Doppelganger. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So a sister, right? One sister is the proper behavior of a woman, because she has not studied Torah, and so she was not led into lewdness. And the other sister,
she's the one that's in the brothel.
Yeah,
she was put there. It wasn't her choice, but
she had no choice. She was captured. Okay. She was captured, right? And the other sister dies a wanton because she violated the taboo, submitted to temptation, and she learned Torah. In other words, so one studies Torah, right, Beruriah, and the other sister who actually behaves light-mindedly, right, the way she's supposed to, right? Okay.
Well, actually, she didn't.
Is that Beruriah's story is generated as the dark double of the story of her sister, all right? That there is a intrinsic and necessary connection between a scholarly woman and uncontrolled sexuality.
My goodness.
My goodness.
Yeah. I showed you this.
Yada. Oh my, yeah.
I showed you this last time. I know. I showed you this last time, but we didn't understand.
Oh, I wasn't there. I
know.
I was recovering.
Okay, but no, but I know that we looked at it, but it didn't make that much sense. But now, having analyzed it and looking at this through Boyarin's eyes, and his eyes are very strange eyes, by the way. I don't know if any of you know his work, but he's absolutely brilliant, and I know him actually when he was much younger. He used to live in our town in Omer, and he was really, and despite his having his being a rabbi and graduate of JTS, he persisted in praying with the Orthodox people. He didn't join our synagogue, and then he and his wife got divorced. She was a Latin scholar, and they got divorced. And then he went to America, and I don't know where she is today.
She was a scholar. Obviously, she was uncontrolled sexually, and he had to divorce her.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so she marries a scholar, and she is sent to the brother. That's a mistake. It should be brothel. The brothel, all right?
Well, it could be both.
No. I think it's the brothel.
No. That was a joke.
Right. And Beruriah fails Meir's test because she ends up sleeping with the scholar, with the student, and he passes. The sister passes the test because she didn't sleep. She proves that she's a virgin. She commits suicide, and she's rescued by a miracle. Okay, so this is really very interesting stuff. Okay, so he's trying to say that you have to have a sister to counteract the Beruriah, that it all makes sense, and that's why Rashi invented that story. Okay, keep that. You have to keep a lot of things going at the same time.
Isn't that a cop-out?
Yes.
Sort of.
Yes, you could say that. Okay. So here, let me go back to my thing. Go back to, now we look at Noam Tzion. All right. Noam Tzion, page 126. Okay. Let me go out and go to Noam Tzion, page 126. Okay. I happen to be on there already. Change, share. Okay. So, first of all, let's talk about Rashi, okay? He has here introduction, a suspicious insertion in Rashi. Remember what Boyarin said?
Right.
Okay, so he clearly is not going to be, all right. So he tells us how a tale begins with Beruriah challenging the authority of the rabbis who hold that a woman's character is unreliable. Then her husband rebukes her and prophesies, "You'll be sorry." He swears, presumably in God's name, that she will eat her words. And rather than waiting to see if God will punish her, he takes his prediction into his own hands to make sure it will come through. Thereby, he proves that the rabbis were right and the wife was wrong about a woman's character. Any woman, right? Beruriah herself is unreliable, just as the rabbis say. To make his point, Rabbi Meir enlists one of his own students to tempt her sexually, gaining her confidence and propositioning her repeatedly as his teacher had instructed him. And the student ultimately persuades her to have intercourse with him, and she commits suicide. Okay, so that's just a recap. We know that already. I mean, except for those of you who haven't been here, but that's a recap of the story. Right. Now, notice what we have in this footnote. All right, Sue Reese, would you read this? I'll make it a little bit bigger.
Okay. I use the shorthand terminology Rashi's Beruriah or Rashi's Rabbi Meir because this story does not appear in the Talmud, but for the first time in the 14th century manuscripts of Rashi's commentary on the Talmud.
Okay, so what did Boyarin say?
That you had to have.
He said it was in the 11th century.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and now he's saying it doesn't appear in the Talmud, but for the first time. Okay, go on.
Below, we will cite research that suggests this tell is not an invention of Rashi, but probably a later gloss insertion in his manuscript.
Okay, you know what that is? You know, do you all understand what a later gloss would be? In other words, you have a manuscript,
Yeah.
and then somebody writes something on the side in the margins, right? So it's not original to Rashi, but someone who, for some reason, right, decided to put that in there. Okay, this is what he's claiming. I think it's a very interesting idea. Okay, go on.
I mean, that's possible.
Yes, of course it's possible.
It's very possible.
But go on. You'll see why.
Okay.
You'll see the reasoning if you continue reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Based on this narrative's characterization of the Beruriah-Meir relationship, it appears to me to be unrelated to the Talmudic characterizations of this marriage. Therefore, it seems to be a medieval tale that does not preserve a Talmudic oral tradition. Also, it need not be attributed to Rashi, who generally presents a very positive view of wives and condemns husbands who distrust their wives. It is only for convenience that this chapter refers to Rashi's Beruriah, meaning Beruriah in the Rashi manuscript.
Okay, so he completely disagrees with Boyarin and other people. In other words, and with the tradition, right? With the tradition that this was Rashi, because but okay, I guess I should go up and check it. Yeah, you continue to discuss it with yourself. I'll be right there.
Unless Naomi is too lightheaded to take care of it. No.
I mean, but that's a pretty big note on a side of a manuscript. That story is long.
But no, they write it in it's very small print, very small handwriting, and it developed into a whole art, microscopic writing, so yeah. But it is a pretty big. Well, we don't know how they phrased it. They may have had a shorthand,
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we like this because at least wives are considered positive here. But I take back when I said that we don't have any letters from that time. We obviously do have comments.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not of the characters themselves. It's
no. Right. Yeah.
Hundreds of years later.
Yeah. I mean, it's not related.
Well, I can't believe that these powers of industry and everything kept their emails and wrote in their own name. And I mean, what are we doing trusting our lives to these idiots?
Right.
Well, we know they're idiots.
We know, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't know.
No, but it's across the board. Thank goodness there are a few non-Jews involved too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really.
Marcia, you said you're recovering. Are you doing okay?
I fell. I went to this lovely family down the block from me for Shabbat Friday night.
You know you're being recorded. You know that.
That's okay. The people who helped me were wonderful.
Well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, no, and I felt that we have a problem in the neighborhood that the street lamps are not lit. They have not been lit for quite some time.
Wow.
So that corner where these people's steps are was very dark. I was holding on. I mean,
that happened to a friend of mine in her neighborhood. It was very dark.
I'm going to stop you right now. Let's tell us afterwards because
no. We were just chit-chatting to give you time.
No, I know, but it's being recorded.
Oh well, that's
okay. I thought you were going to talk about the Talmud.
No, we
did. We
sidetracked.
We came in at the end where we finished being lightheaded, and now we were serious.
Okay, you were serious. Okay, so all right, so here, so this is a continuation of what Noam Sion is saying. Marcia, you want to read this, Rabbi Meir?
Me?
Yeah,
Oh,
Marshall.
Rabbi Meir succeeds in demonstrating that he and the rabbis were correct to characterize all women as fickle, even when the woman is learned. But rather than simply enlightening her about her error, he has, of course, ruined his wife's reputation and his marriage. He drives her to sin, and that causes her so much shame that she commits suicide. While Rabbi Meir has caused her to betray her loyalty to her husband, he has also betrayed her as well. Realizing what he has done, Rabbi Meir is so ashamed himself that he flees his home in Eretz Israel and journeys into exile in Babylonia. In effect, his exile is twofold, for he goes to the land where God has sent his people for their lack of fidelity to the divine covenant, and he also exiles himself for betraying his covenant with his wife. The home where the divine presence once dwelt between husband and wife has been destroyed.
Okay, I think this is really brilliant, okay?
Yeah.
Because in betraying his wife, right, he is also betraying himself and his relationship with, with everything. In other words,
With his student, what about his student?
his
What about the
student,
guy?
the example
Yeah,
that he set, the
it's,
student, right? The
yes.
student who he who he's committing adultery,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So, it's, and there's nothing there about it, is there? There's nothing
Mm-mm,
there about that in
mm-mm.
the story, all right? It's all about her committing suicide and then his shame. And I think, by the way, that when I read this, this is when I thought to myself about Sarah, all right, who betrayed his wife rather than why, and similar to this, right? Because Sarah, but when Abraham betrays Sarah, why is he doing that? Oh,
Save
He
himself.
had to save his own life. So he
Yeah.
says.
I think I'm teaching. I'll call you back later.
this, this is a busy morning.
Right. From California. How come he's even up now?
What are you talking about?
I'm joking. Okay.
Middle of the day here.
Oh, I know. Could you think to yourselves, what is Abraham? Who is he betraying? Not only Sarah. Who is he betraying?
Himself.
Why? Who?
Himself in a way, because
No, but
No, he's
Oh.
oh, the
trying.
king. He's betraying the
he's
king.
betraying the king both times, Pharaoh and
Avimelech.
Avimelech.
Elimelech, Avimelech. Sorry, Avimelech.
Yeah.
But he's also. Why does he tell her to do this?
To
The
save
reason he
him.
gives is he's worried that they're going to kill him. He's doing it to protect himself. He's
Hello.
offering her up.
Totally selfish reasons.
אני מלמדת עכשיו מי זה? כן, בסדר, כן, ביי. Sorry, I have to keep it on because I have so many people right now, but usually they don't call. So, okay, wait, where are we? No, why does he give Sarah to them, or
To protect himself. I mean, he was being
protect
totally
himself? So
selfish.
who is he betraying? Who is?
Well, he's not giving away his possessions, from his wealth. He's giving away the most easy thing to give away because he could have
Yeah,
another
but he's
wife.
also not. He's not trusting God to save him.
Oh,
No.
right.
Not trusting God. All right. So this idea here is when it says here he exiles himself for betraying, right? He's leaving the land of the divine, right? The home where the divine presence once dwelt between husband and wife has been destroyed. Now, I'm sure that Noam Sion is not thinking about Sarah when he writes this.
No.
But I right away thought to myself that this is very, in fact, let me just, in case I ever come back to this for some reason, and then I'll write it in another time, not now. Okay, so basically, he goes on to say that people have been thinking about it. Modern rabbinic scholars have been thinking about it over and over again, right? And it's been used as a countertext for those promoting, for those opposing the revolutionary introduction of women, especially Orthodox women today. You have no idea what's going on in the Orthodox women, in the Orthodox world. Women are so learned now. I mean, there's an explosion, a total explosion of study. By the way, on a much higher, I'm embarrassed to say, but on a much higher level than in the conservative world. In Israel, that's not completely true because you have, in the Reform movement, you have a very high level. But in the Orthodox women's world, I think it's even higher. Maybe because they're coming to it from within. They're coming to the tradition very much from within, where they have, so many of them went to Pelech, the school that was started by Alice Shalvey, the Orthodox school. And so many of them came out of there. And they had an Orthodox background, and they knew all the sources, whatever. Okay, so let's stop here for a second. And now, let me just see what I wanted to do. Did somebody else want to say something before?
Yeah, I wanted to say there's a woman in my synagogue who studies with our rabbi on, we do Wednesday lunch and learn. And last term we did Talmud study, and she was like, I didn't think we could study, that women weren't allowed to study Talmud.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So Orthodox women can now do that?
Oh, well, we did it in high school.
Really?
You did it. By the time I came around, Marcia, you may
You
not
didn't
know
have.
this.
We had it till junior here in high school.
Right.
And then we got typing, and Carl was very angry at me because he never learned to type. He had to sit in the Gemara class.
Right. So my sister, who is older than Marcia by a few years,
did she?
My sister studied Talmud. She did not get the typing
No.
and economics, right?
Wow.
But by your class already, they changed it. So we had 2 years of Talmud, but then we went on.
Oh, we had 4 years.
No,
we
you
didn't.
You
start
had
in junior high. No, we had 4 years.
But
we didn't.
No,
give us credit. We did.
You mean
I was not
7th
the
and
best
8th grade?
student you understand, but we did.
No, you're talking about 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah, and then yeah, when they started to switch to Shira Nyman and I think Jackie Asterowitz, I'm not sure, they went to Rabbi Luxin and said, we want typing, but it could be extracurricular, but we want to continue with the Talmud.
So did they change it then?
No, those girls continued. Right. I don't know what happened after that.
Whatever. No, it's really very interesting because I had so this whole idea of women not being able to study is something that's, still goes on today, and it's a debate,
Yeah.
And even those who agreed that women should be allowed to study, they gave a very strange reason that they should know how to protect themselves when studying about sotah. Sotah is the
wayward wife.
Right, the wayward wife. In other words, if your husband accuses you of adultery, you should know how to protect.
You can defend.
Right. So that was really one of the things that. Okay, so I thought it would be very interesting to put Beruriah. What do you think Beruriah and Sarah would have in common if they would have a conversation with each other?
Betrayal by their husbands.
Okay. What would anybody be able to give each other advice? By the way, who comes out okay in the story?
Sarah.
Okay, Sarah comes out okay in the story. Because she goes on, and not only does she survive all of this, but at the end of her story, which is chapter 20, I think,
She has she gets
Avimelech,
pregnant.
after Avimelech sends her away, and all of the wombs now are opened, she conveniently has a child, and it says, Vadonai pakad et Sarah. God impregnated her, right? The word pakad means two things. It can mean impregnate, right? Or it could mean remembered. Most people don't think of it as impregnate. Most people think of it as remembered, all right? But there's a secondary word because had the text wanted to be very clear, the writer would have written Vadonai Zachar et Sarah. Mm-hmm. God remembered her. By using an ambiguous word, pakad, it leaves it open to who impregnated her? Not God. Forget about God for a minute. Who impregnated her? Avimelech. That's the last guy who she slept with. And because in the and we can analyze the story if you want, but you can also check it out yourselves. I'm not teaching you Bible right now, but no, I mean, I am in a sense. I'm assuming that you remember some of the things. It's very, very ambivalent in the whole story between God's conversation with Avimelech. God has a conversation with him, and Avimelech really comes out being the correct person, the one who behaved correctly.
He was decent about it.
And it's not clear if he did sleep with her or did not sleep with her. There are two versions there that you could read either way. And if you want to go look at the chapter very carefully after the class, and you can see where I'm coming from. I'm not making any of this up, okay? I've been teaching this for years, and you could trust me on this, that you can read it both ways, okay?
So she didn't have to sleep with him because she could say she was in her woman's way for a very long time, right?
Good. So that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
Saying what Beruriah's sister said, and all those ladies in the brothel in Rome. No, she comes.
Okay.
She is pure. She remained pure for God.
Exactly. Sarah could come out and say, "Oh, I was thinking about what you would do in the future, right? And I thought that's a great way to come out of this without anyone worrying about me, right?" Right. By the way, there's a very well-known, maybe not to you, but to me, there's a very well-known midrash about the fact that God made sure that Isaac would look very much dikuno in Abraham's image, so that there would be no suspicion on his part.
Oh, right.
Believe you me, they were sensitive to this too. I mean, they're much more sensitive to the text than I am. That's for sure, right? So I'm not coming completely from left field, outfield, whatever. Okay, so that's one thing. What else? What else could they do if they were in dialogue with each other? To give each other support or warn each other or whatever. What would Sarah be telling Beruriah? I think it should be Sarah speaking to Beruriah. What does she want to prevent Beruriah from doing?
Killing herself.
Killing herself. Yeah. Right? She basically should be saying to her, this is not the end of the world for you, right?
Yeah.
I went through this also once upon a time. Okay, so I'm going to do one very quick thing with you. I'm going to do a little quickie exercise, and then I'll turn off the, and then we'll look at the Yehudim Bayim. So first of all, I have to stop the. No, I'm not going to stop the recording. I'm going to stop the. Wait, I'm not sharing with you right now.
No, you're not sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to. First of all, go. I don't think I need this anymore. I could get out of my, okay, I saved it. I don't need this anymore. Save it. And I don't need this anymore. And do I need this? Okay, am I still with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to go into ChatGPT, and we'll do a very, very quick, all right? We're going to create. Oh no, I want to share that with you.
Yeah, you're not sharing yet.
Okay, now I'm going to share with you. Okay. Okay. Create a modern midrash, right, where Sarah is in dialogue with Beruriah, Rabbi Meir's wife, Meir's wife, after, now what should I write here now? After after he betrays her by having her sleep with his student. I'll put here Rashi's version because I assume that, AI knows it's right. What advice could Sarah give Rabbi Beruriah so that she does not commit suicide? Base this on Abraham's giving her twice away to Pharaoh and Abimelech. Anything else we should add here?
No, that's good.
Does that cover more or less what we were talking about?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
let's make it short.
yeah.
Let's make it short. 100 words. Okay, 100 words. We don't
I
want
think Sarah would say, don't study Torah. Sarah didn't study.
And the rest is commentary.
Right, yeah.
Here we go. 100 words. Sarah said, daughter of Torah, I too was handed over twice by the man who called me covenant. In Egypt and in Gerar, I entered another's house, not by desire, but by fear. I learned then a woman is not the currency of a man's terror, nor the proof of his arguments. You are not Rabbi Meir's lesson, nor his shame. Do not turn his betrayal into your verdict. Live, and heaven judge him. Your breath is not his to spend. Stay, Beruriah, teach again. Let your wisdom be the answer. Survival is the truest midrash on faithfulness.
Wow. Wow.
Faithlessness, not fullness.
Faithfulness. Okay. Yeah. That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually
Wow.
put we could do it more, we could have 100 words, but I just want to show you that you could play around with this and do whatever you want.
Well, that's it. That's a message. You have to think for yourself and trust
Right.
your own.
Let your wisdom be the answer.
Yes.
Right. So now in a minute, I just want to put this into my thing,
Actually, very good advice.
Isn't it?
It's excellent advice.
It
Yeah.
could be it's human advice. Yes, right.
Right. I wonder what would happen if we put that into, this new one that they keep on talking about. But they keep on talking about. Is it Claude? That Claude is the one that Anthropy is in charge of. The AI. It's supposed to be much more human and sympathetic.
It's annoying because
Okay. Anyway, I'm going to stop the recording because I want to show you. So maybe next week we'll finish, or maybe not. Stop recording. Okay, stop recording.